Hey F1 fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into some fascinating numbers by calculating the cost per point for each driver in the 2024 season, and with that figuring out which drivers offer some incredible value and who is burning a hole in their team's budget. Trust me, you're going to be shocked by some of these figures. Now you might be wondering, how do we figure this out? It's actually pretty straightforward. We start by adding up each driver's salary along with the expenses from damages caused by crashes or retirements. Then we divide that by the number of points they've scored so far this season. And by the way, I took your feedback about the sound on the last video and got a new mic, so let me know in the comments if this sounds better now. So let's start with Charles Leclerc. With a salary of $19 million and total damages of $1.2 million, he was able to score 245 points, so the average cost per point for Charles Leclerc is $82,477, which put him on 5th place. Next is Max Verstappen with 70 million salary and almost $1 million in damages, who has won 331 points. And the math says 1 point costs Red Bull $214,000, which puts him on 10th place on the list. George Russell cost Mercedes $56,980 per point, and that puts him on 3rd place as most cost-effective driver. Lance Stroll cost his dad a full gray head of hair and $142,500 for each of the 24 points he scored so far, which puts him surprisingly high on the list on P8. Sergio Perez is leading the Destructors Championship with 4.5 million in damages, but because of a salary of 26 million and winning somehow 144 points, he is on P9, costing Red Bull $212 and $0.90 per point. Carlos Sainz is quite a money saver, and he costs the team that doesn't want him for 2025 $79,000 per point, putting him on P4 on the list of the most cost-effective drivers. Nico Hülkenberg is another good performer on the list with $103,125 per point, and lands right behind Charles Leclerc on P6. And the Haas team has the biggest discrepancy between teammates, you will see later on. Now Lando Norris' salary is in the high end, but he has won 279 points without a lot of shenanigans, which costs McLaren $55,275 per point and puts him very high on P2 on the list. Also, a special thanks for tracking of the F1 Destructors Championship of the Reddit user BuzzPro24 Chevy. You can find more about this on Reddit. Lewis Hamilton is quite careful and hasn't done much damages, but Mercedes has to pay him 55 million salary, and by winning 174 points so far, he is costing Toto $317,931 per point, landing on P12 on the list. Fernando Alonso cost his teammates that $567,000 per point and is further back on P14. Kevin Magnussen, our penalty boy, cost Haas a little over $1 million for each point that he has won and sits on P16. Surprisingly, he's still not the worst one. Gasly hasn't done any damages, but won only 8 points, and with salary of $8 million, his cost per point is $1 million, which puts him ahead of Magnussen and behind Fernando Alonso. Now, Ocon is the most costly driver on the grid, with total cost of a little above 70 million, and with only 5 points won, he costs Alpine $1.4 million for each point he has won, and he is last as the least cost-effective driver on the grid this season. Haas will need to open the wallet next year. Now, I didn't add Colapinto and Bierman in the stats as they do not have enough races. Also, the Sauber drivers and Sargent are off the data as they haven't scored a point yet, and by the time they score a point, the cost might be $1 gazillion. Then we have Oscar Piastri with a salary of $8 million and costing McLaren in damages additional $575,000. He has managed to score 237 points, which means he costs McLaren only $36,181 per point. This makes him an absolute champion of the cost per point stat, right ahead of his teammate Lando Norris, so no papaya rules here. The VCAR drivers land on P7 and P11, with Alex Albon on P13. Hope you guys like this video. If so, hit the like button, it really helps me out, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Also, let me know in the comments who surprised you most in the list. See you in the next one.